Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. Yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. So please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on my co-host.
Oh, what's going on, Streamland? Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is JD Rosario. I have been publishing comic books now for 15 years this May 29th. You can find books such as The Storm Chasers, Shield of the Interceptor, New York versus the World, all under my imprint, Unstoppable Comics.
All right, nice. What was your name again?
JD, official, phonetically spelled, with a J, a Y, a D, an E, an E, Rosario. Thank you.
There you go. Nice. And here's our for the first time, our co-host.
Oh, we got a Coco.
I'm the Coco. I am Damion Waldbrunn. I am creator of Realmer X. I make toys under my O Toys banner, which is taking a break so I can focus on comics.
Oh,
I'm also one quarter of the Dastardly Dingoes podcast.
no.
Tuesday nights on other places.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh,
I just want to interject real quick. We were supposed to have one of the other dingoes with us, Mr. Brian Rodman, but he's not feeling well. Brian, please feel better.
He's having
check out. What?
He's having the breathies.
He's having the breathies. Yes. So go check out his book, the Nebulizer. Yes, it's on Kickstarter. So go check it out. It's in the show notes. So there you go, Brian.
Alternate cover. That some guy named, I forgot his name, but he did an alternate cover. It's pretty good. You should check it out.
Okay, go check it out. All right.
shameless plug.
What?
Yes.
What?
Enough with that. All right.
I'll be plugging.
How you doing, Aaron? And please introduce yourself, sir.
I am Aaron Humphres. I've been doing comic books for 30 years, drawing them or whatever, and came here to talk about a new Kickstarter. I work with a company called Silverline, which has kind of been making some rumblings. I think we're starting to get a little more known out there, and we got a Kickstarter going, so I thought I'd come and talk about that. And I do my own comic, Godlings, which the book is done, but I had this little bit of formatting issues, so I am fixing that, but it is on its way. So that is done, and I draw and write and do my own stuff. Well,
Cool. Let me know when you got that omnibus.
I will. It's coming. I've been having some delay issues, which is kind of
Guys, Mr. Evan, how are you, sir? Please introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? How you doing? My name is Evan K. Pozios. I'm the writer and creator of several published comic book properties, including Time Grunts, Silence, several stories in the Harvest of Horrors anthology, and the upcoming ongoing series Athena the Undying, published by Second Set.
Ooh.
Nice. What's up, Mr. Kenny?
Hey, what's up?
Nice.
My name's Kenny. I'm the writer, creator, and colorist for my own comic book series, Apex Cybernetic Samurai Owl. And that's about all I got time to do right now. So,
All right, cool. Mr. Wilson, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yes, long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on this channel.
It has been. Please, sir, introduce yourself.
I'm Wilson Ramos Jr., or on the internet, Ramos Comics here. And I'm a freelance comic book artist. Been working in the comic industry for over 30 years now. And I'm mainly known as a production artist and letterer through the industry, and art director. And on occasion, I publish my own stuff under Section 8 Comics.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Mr. Deandre, please introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I am Deandre McNeal, writer, artist, editor, and publisher over at Odyssey Comics. Just got done celebrating my 40th birthday in our first year as a publisher.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yes.
Welcome to the 40 Club.
Yeah.
Yes, it sucks.
Say goodbye to your knees.
I would like to rescind the invitation, but it's
There.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Wait another 10 years. See how that feels.
yeah, boy. I might not make it that long, JB. I don't know.
You'll make it. That's the curse. That's the curse. You don't think you're gonna make it, but you make it, and then you really feel it. Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Let me just pull up. Grant Lanker says, "Good evening, gents."
Good evening, Grant.
Gents. And he says, "I'm going to be cooking dinner during the show, so I'll be in and out." All right. Well, enjoy dinner. And happy personal New Year. DeAndre, there you go.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen. Let's start. I don't know how much you've been listening to the internet, but there's been some rumblings about some people talking about standardizing. Jesus guys, I can't speak. Standardizing script formats. All right. So if you go to Marvel or DC, you know they're gonna want a standard format. If you go to Dark Horse, it's gonna standard format for scripts. A lot of people use their own formats. It's a little different for everybody. I know I write very strangely for some. You know, you got the Marvel style, DC style. You know, you got different ways of doing it. So I want everybody's thoughts. Do you think this is something that should even be considered? Would you even be willing to adapt to it? You know, there you go. Let's, Mr. DeAndre, we'll start with you.
Oh man, when it comes to standardization, you know, I think every publisher has to sort of make the best decision for themselves. I can imagine a company as large as Marvel or DC or something like that can see the benefit to having a standardized script. But me personally, being a small publisher, I just like for people to write how they feel comfortable with, as long as it's in a format that is easily legible and understandable. And sometimes, you know, every now and then you'll see something and it's written in a certain way that I think lends itself well to the story. Would it be technically easier for me if things were standardized and I get submissions and everything is in the same format? Yeah, sure. But I think at the same time, I don't think it's anything that anybody outside of maybe the big three should be pushing for. And even then, I feel like it's kind of nebulous and, you know, maybe not the best practice to go for. So I don't see it catching on. I think it might be something they do for a while and then walk it back a couple of years down the line.
All right, cool. Wilson, how do you feel about it?
I feel, being that I have worked for all the major comic book companies as a letterer, I'm all for making anything easier for my job. But as a creator, I might be too set in my ways. But then again, I don't think that was created for me in that sense, where I'm not coming in as an entry level person if I'm writing something. So, and I'm sure that's the same way it is for any other artist or any other writer that's coming in working for the big companies. It might be something that they found that they need. And if it works for them, that's fine. To me, it's like these changes will come. Some work, some don't. You know, I watched them go from hand coloring to computer practically overnight, and that was a big change. A lot of creators lost coloring work because of that, because they could not keep up with that change. Same thing with the lettering. So it's one of those things where I would say people who are coming in new and they're breaking in, I'm guessing they're going to have to learn what that standard format is. As a freelancer, yes, I could see it working that way. As a creator, I may not be changing my ways, but then again, I might, because I want to keep working. So it's one of those things where you have to decide for yourself whether this is going to really personally stop you or keep you going. As a publisher, I don't have a standard for my writers when I ask them to submit something. As long as it's clear to the penciler, I'm okay with some, if they do standardize it. I have not seen what this new format looks like. I wasn't even aware it was a thing that was going on recently. But I do have to say is there have been plenty of times where I'll be at conventions and people would ask, is there something to follow? They want to see what a script looks like so they could follow it. So is that going to be followed by everyone across the board? I really doubt it. I think it's going to be for newcomers coming in. And my personal gut feeling is this is being done to make it easier to go through submissions. But, you know, other than that, I'm not too sure where that change is going to happen.
All right, cool. Aaron, what you got?
It seems like it would be. I could see it working for submissions. That's what I'm thinking. Like Wilson said, I can't. I mean, I can see it maybe working for editors, but once artists and writers start working together, even in professional field, they kind of have their own shorthand and the way that works best for them. I can see them adapting their shorthand to a formal, like script format to give to the editor. But it would be very hard for me to see a bunch of, especially veteran artists, jumping into this wholeheartedly, especially they're working with, because every team has a way they eventually, work together. I can see new people working together. I don't know. Again, the other way is how would you really kind of enforce it unless you're a bigger company? I mean, I can see it be I don't know. That's an interesting question. I have to think about that. I did see that article earlier. I saw the headline. I did not read it, but I did see the headline. I think it could be good, but like you said, I don't think it's going to take. So yeah.
All right, cool. Evan, how do you feel about it?
I think it's a very disturbing concept. I mean, as an independent creator, that's my voice. That's my voice that you're taking away. I pride myself on scripting, sequentials in a certain manner. So, I mean, I think, something like a standardized or canned script might be useful in terms of training students, art students, maybe for purposes of, a writing contest or something. But definitely, I mean, why would you want every comic book to have that same feel and look to it? I mean, makes no sense to me.
All right, cool. Kenny, what are your thoughts?
I think it's probably fine. I mean, when I was starting out, and I mean, I've only written like, my own comic books. I had a lot of issues like trying to figure out how to write a comic book. So I just did a lot of digging around. So there was really no like kind of like guide, like, hey, this is like what you're supposed to do, right? So I think in that way, for somebody who's just trying to start out, maybe that gives somebody like a building block, kind of go, hey, well, if you want to work for the big guys, this is the way you do it. That being said, I guess if I wanted to work for the big guys, then I guess I'd want to do it their way, right? So if they have a way that they want to do it, then you should be striving to do it that way. But I don't want to work for the big guys, so I do it my own way. So that's kind of the way I do it, So yeah, I mean, they can do whatever they want, I guess.
No, I'm the same way. Damion, what do you got, brother?
As an artist, I mean, I'm just dipping my toes into the writing aspect of comics right now, because I'm getting ready to put out some new books. But as an artist, I can pretty much take any kind of script, because I used to buy books. There's books of comic strips you can buy on Amazon, and they from 10 or 12 different people, just a script for a given book. And so I practiced doing a page from each one of these scripts to kind of just get it under my belt. If I get a script from someone, can I do it in this style or do it with this style of script or that style of script? So I think any artist worth their salt has sort of tried to do that, or tried to do, so you're prepared for that, especially if you're working indie. You never know what you're going to get. So that said, I do think it kind of stifles the creativity a little bit, because I do think they're writers that the way they propose a story in written format and the artists they're working with, they create that dynamic, and sort of standardization may cut into that. Beyond that, I could see a loose format, like a loose standardized format, like put the title here, this is 1 page per page, that kind of thing. It's a real sort of loose, open idea. Now, I didn't read the article, but is anyone saying they're going to do this, or it's just like, hey, here's this idea I'm throwing out?
Well, it's a proposal, and someone is putting together, I think, like I know there are programs to do movie scripts, right? So I guess it's similar to that. It's like, so because the standard movie script is pretty much standard. Like I said, it's standard, and they want to do the same thing to comics. Yeah. So I don't exactly know what they're doing. So who knows?
I mean, anything to help the dynamic between artist and writer, I guess. But on the other hand, if it's gonna cause an issue for the writer or for the artist, for that matter, if they're used to a full script and now they're getting a standardized format, or vice versa, anything that's gonna infiltrate and damage that process, I'm not for.
All right, cool. Hold on, let me put the Dojo says Hail the champ. What's up, Dojo?
Hail, hail.
And I hope he says hail. What's up, Larry? Mr. Rosario, what do you got?
Yeah, we're talking about the script that color coordinates the blue for the dialogue, the green for the special effects, the orange for
I
the artwork.
believe so. I didn't get that much
Yeah.
into it because once I saw it, I was just like,
No, thank you.
Take
I don't
another
give a
sip.
fuck. I really don't. I mean, look, we're independent creators. We came into this doing this our own way. As long as we can communicate effectively with the people on the team that are working with us to put together the books, that it really doesn't fucking matter. I mean, what color goes to the part where you you give the artist a call and say, hey, remember that thing you did on page 5, panel 6? Can you expand that and give me a double page spread? I mean, what color coordination does that apply to on the script?
Chartreuse.
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 Plaid.
Yeah. I understand what the rest of the people on the panel are talking about for newcomers. Look, if this is the script that we're talking about, when I ran the convention in New York before the pandemic, I know one of the people that suggested this new format. We spoke. I hosted a panel at the con where we had a great chat for new and upcoming creators, and I know she has a lot of great ideas. So is it standardized in the aspect that it helps newcomers understand how to lay something out effectively? Okay, I'm with that. But like most of you guys, I'm doing my own thing. I'm sure a lot of the veterans already have their style of talking to the rest of the team that they have putting together the book. So it really doesn't matter for people who've been doing this for more than a couple years.
True. Listen, my advice is this. If you want to learn how to do comic scripts, go check out Denny O'Neill's book on how to write comics.
There you go.
There you
go, the master. Yeah.
Exactly. Go talk to a master. The people who are offering this up, I don't think have the depth of knowledge that someone like Denny does. So I would suggest that. I mean, that's not to say that whatever they say is to be discounted. I'd have to look into it deeper because maybe it will be something that'll be beneficial. But
going back to Denny O'Neill for a second, he was writing comic books before he understood 3-act structure. He talked about this a few times in many different interviews, and he said it wasn't until he was working, I believe, with DC for a little while did they send him somewhere to go learn how to write. And this is a couple years in to being a professional. And he's like, 3-act structure. So it's just one of those things. This is not something we go to school for, right? There's no college course that's just independent comic creator. It's all shit that you learn on the fly, man. You can learn how to swim with the sharks or just fucking sink.
They do have those courses now, though.
Now they do. They do. But I don't think many of us here are under the age of 40 now, right, DeAndre? I mean, I'm looking at the panel. JD, you look about 62, 63 yourself, So
Thank you. But what's funny is you look older than me.
Well, listen, dude, I just started getting hair on my balls. So
It's hair in your shoulder. That's the
Dojo says I won't be using any new standardized anything. My scripts work just fine. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
All right, Mr. Rosario, you're up, sir. What do you got?
All right. So since we're on the creative process, let me ask this creative question: how do you, as writers, handle panel transitions or page transitions? Right? Do you go step by step, or do you let the gutters do the talking for you? Right, for argument's sake, if your character is about to make a cup of coffee, do you go through the steps of making the coffee so you can have room to add exposition in there, tell story notes that maybe you didn't think about doing when you put your script together, or do you just turn the page and have your character go from starting the coffee to sitting down and drinking a hot cup of Joe? What's your process?
Wilson, you're up.
Okay, so I would say this as a writer, what I do is I hire my friend Eric Rivera, and he handles the writing portions of that because I learned a long time ago that for one of my books, Team Kaiju, I had written an outline of the character putting on their costume, and it took the whole issue because it was an inner monologue of why am I doing this. Artistically, I think that's cool. Eric was helped me write it into 2 panels because it was one of those things where, or actually 2 pages, sorry. And it was one of those things where I'm willing as a creator to ask opinions of other creators. What is cool? Because what I may think is cool, boring is all hell to other people. And, I have to work with putting the ego aside where it's like, yeah, I think this would be really cool. But am I the artist to be doing this? Maybe not. So again, it's one of those things where it's like I as I got older as a storyteller, is we need to get to the action right away. Now the coffee is interesting because what's the important part of that coffee? Can that character start their day or not without the coffee? Does that become a bigger arc? Or is it one of those things where it would be humorous to watch them go through the whole process of creating the coffee just to spill it when she gets outside, or run into another character? And so if that's part of the story, that could be told in a couple of panels. But if it's not that important, where it's just someone, the bottom line is what's most important to the story itself. Is it making the coffee itself, or is like getting the coffee and going? Because it could also be one of those running gags where the character always starts with the coffee, and what is the problems that you're going to run into trying to getting to drink it? Are they running out of the office? Are they running out of the home to get to the office? That type of thing. So I think as a writer, as a creator, is what's the most important part of that story? What is the thing that coffee either represent, if you're one of those people that, writes clues into the stories? Or is it one of those things like, this is what you have your character doing as you're getting ready to tell the bigger story? Because a lot of times where a character is doing nothing but listening to another character talk, it gets boring. But if one character is talking and the other one's making coffee, then you have something's going on in the panel that makes it more visually interesting.
All right, cool. Aaron, what do you got?
It's funny. It's almost kind of like a little bit of a manga versus American style storytelling technique. I know a lot of Japanese will slow scenes down. And of course, a lot of Japanese manga will, instead of showing a picture of a park, to show a tree or like a bird or a tree in certain separate panels to illustrate the full scene in separate panels instead of drawing the full scene. I can see making the coffee as being like a way. I mean, like Wilson was saying, I mean, like say like somebody had a death yesterday, somebody they know died. Making the coffee the next morning could be a way of him reflecting on that. So I think you can slow it down for storytelling. And like you said, you can do a comedic, like maybe the guy's trying to make coffee and then of course the phone rings, he's got to hurry out the door. I think it depends on the story. I do think sometimes in comics, depending on, there could be 2 jump and a gut. It's funny. I remember this may be a bad analogy, but I always thought it was funny. Dave Barry wrote a book where he's talking about the Ford and Chevy, and it was literally like, the Chevy guy walks up to the Ford guy and says, what, Ford sucks. And the guy's like, oh yeah, and then it's like they fight. And sometimes some comics feel that way, like there's no, like, let it breathe, let it get up there. It's almost like bad guy number 1 says something, good guy number 1, they fight. And so I think there's a little bit of building up to it to get into the action. I think the action always works better if there's something behind it, some sort of, the stakes behind it. But I think that's it. It's funny. I can see what you're saying because, I mean, they talked about it in Understanding Comics with the axe falling. I mean, it's like in the horror comic, they shows the axe up in the air, and the next scene you see like, you don't even see the action, you hear like a sound effect. And it's like, do you need to add in the actual detail? It's like, no, the gutter will fill in, your mind will fill in the rest. So I think in that context, that's interesting. I think it's a context basis. I think that's a very hard question to answer as a sort of general, but I think it's very interesting as thinking of it as sort of context basis. I do. It is interesting.
All right, cool. Evan, what do you got?
I think actually Grant, just mentioned it in the comments. I think it's very helpful for me anyway to go ahead and lay out the book that I'm scripting first. I mean, get an idea visually of what I think works, what doesn't work, redraw it. And this can just be, stick figures or whatnot, just so you have an idea of what you want something to look like when you're scripting. And then I think, it depends, obviously what you're going for. Are you going for an establishing shot? Are you going for action? Is it a pacing thing where maybe, you want some variation, for sort of, so-called boring, pages. Maybe I love to use the 9-panel grid, and kind of get in as much visually as possible, keep some eye candy in there. And even on splash pages, put little details in there, keep the eye busy, make people focus on the artwork and, show off the talent of the artist.
All right, cool. Kenny, what do you got?
Well, I think as you go around, you're going to find that this is going to get harder and harder to answer because it's, everybody's making like really good points. So I think for me, it, like Aaron said, it's just, it's really about the context, really. I mean, what are you going for, and I like the Japanese style really, where it's like, things are kind of methodical and like, they go through like all these like steps of like things before like, the guy takes out his sword and cuts the, the other guy's head off or whatever. It's like really dramatic and stuff, So I personally like that a little better, but that doesn't always work either. So you have to, let the gutter kind of, be the, let the imagination, let the reader's imagination kind of do the work too. So I don't think I really have anything else to add on that one.
All right. Cool. DeAndre, what you got?
Yeah, this one, I got to agree with everybody else. It really comes down to the context of it. And I see it a couple different ways. I've been thinking about it more recently because I'm working as just an artist from someone else's script, which is something I don't get to do very often. And really trying to hone in on what my visual storytelling style is. I think very cinematically. So like what Grant was saying in the comments, he was talking about thumbnail. I don't even thumbnail anything. I just I know how many panels I need, and I pop, and I get it done. And it's about really the hierarchy of the action or the scene and what it needs me to do. I always think about those things. So I'm constantly pulling in and out, showing the reader the absolutely essential information that they need. Unless it's a particular panel where I want to convey a certain emotion, if there's a certain action I want to catch, or if it's a setup for another scene. So sometimes things like that can be important because I'm a whore for pacing. I'm always thinking about pacing like all the time. There's one scene that is a setup for a joke, and I actually changed it from what the writer suggested because it just kind of goes from one thing and then it goes into like the joke, and there's like no sort of like lead into it. So I was like, let me put one panel here, just one panel, a close-up of the character's face that's kind of a setup for the comedy that comes before, because it's very normal, calm, settled sort of thing, and then the zaniness comes. So like that lands more and it hits more. Did I have to put that panel in and make it? No, it didn't need to be there. But to get the desired effect for the comedic moment, I thought it was necessary to just pace it out, let it linger on that moment a little bit before it goes into the next thing. And I think a lot of it comes down to that, is how effective do you need that panel to be? How much time do you have in the story for the reader to spend with it? But I think that's the context of most writers and most artists are looking for.
All right, cool. Now hold on, before Mr. Damion gets up.
I was going to say.
Oh, he said, hold on. I just wanted to do it. Granny said, I draw thumbnails while I'm writing. C. Michael Allen says, panel gaps are part of the comic book storytelling mechanics. You use them to show passage of time, and you let your reader fill in the gaps. It really comes down to pacing. Mark Maz, what's up, Mark? Unstoppable Coffee.
Yes.
Mr. Lang says,
going at night. Yes.
Yep. Says, if you don't want to reveal something till page 10 and you're on page 5, it helps to slow the pacing for you to make a bigger reveal later. There you go. So what you got, Damion? What you at?
Yes to everything.
Okay.
To me, it's part of the zen of making a comic page, and the insanity of it. You have to hold all of these ideas in your head at the same time while you're creating something, and you're sort of applying them in pieces and bits and starts as you're going. So it is contextual. It is pacing. It is what the writer wrote. It is maybe reevaluating what they wrote and how you're putting it on the page. It's all those things at once.
Mm-hmm.
I've done literally this in a book. I think it was in the omnibus I just put out, where the character's like, 1 second, comes 10 minutes later. Literally, the gutter says 10 minutes later, and then he's back with a cup of coffee drink. And I needed him to go run, do this, like I got to get some coffee before we do this. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. And then move right back into the action. But just talking about this has made me think of an idea for another. In my book, coffee's an omniversal constant. It is in every dimension. If it comes out of a bug,
as well, it should be.
Right? On the bug's butt, or whether it's literally ambrosia from the gods that exists everywhere. So I'm having some, just hearing you all talk about it, I'm like, yes, I have some ideas now. But I'm going to do a scene with this. So I think it's, like I said, I think it's just holding all these ideas in your head at the same time while you're doing it that makes it what it needs to be. And therein comes in the pacing and context and all the bits and pieces.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, for myself, I'm lazy. I leave it all to the artists. I let them decide. I write the story, and I just hand it off. You can ask David. I handed him a script.
Sure do. No,
He's not even a writer. Exactly. He draws a paragraph. He's like, listen, do this. Yeah. Find just some places to put it on your page.
It's something like that. At the same time. It's really... But you're right. I'm like, it's in my... I'm seeing it. I'm like, where do I stop? Where do I cut? Right. Where do I cut?
Yeah, I think one of my editors once told me, it was like, it's like stream of consciousness writing. I was, what the hell's wrong with you? I'm like, wait, what? Is this the only time I ever did breakdowns, like true breakdowns, when I was writing professional, when I did my 3 or 4 year stint and people were paying me money for them, I broke the pages down, and it wasn't for the artist, it was for my editor. Because the guy I was working with, I worked with him before for years. He already knew how I worked, so it wasn't for him. As a matter of fact, I would hand.
He knew how you worked. He was like, right. This guy's writing a fucking script for me again. God damn it!
It'd be funny as an artist to like take your stuff and like just actually draw it with no borders, just make it look like a stream of thought of art on the page. It's like, well, this is how I got it.
This is how I got it. Get it back. I wrote a script for one guy where it's just supposed to be. I asked him to lay it out as, like, when he did the pages, to lay it out as one giant scene that the character would roam across. So if you put the pages together side by side, it would be one giant scene, and then the character would roam across that sequence, And it was just, But sometimes, so you got to have a little fun with it. I did. Yep. I recently did something for Mr. Landing, as a matter of fact, where I wrote a 9-panel grid, and I did panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, the whole thing, right? Because I wanted something very specific to be shown, right? It's very rare that I do this, but I thought it needed to be shown. This character, his life is very regimented. So that's why I wanted the 9-panel grid, show him waking up, show him making his bed, so on and so forth, right? So then by the time you got to the 9th panel, he's hearing voices. Somebody's talking in his house. Then you switch to the next page, and that next page, the panel is askew, and it's a weird shaped panel because the person in the panel represents chaos in his life, right? So his orderly life, which is what it normally is, right, turns into chaos, Okay. So it just depends on how you utilize it. The different techniques in different ways. Sometimes I want to experiment, and sometimes I don't get the opportunity to because I'm just trying to get the damn story out. You're just like, okay, let's doom. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Matt Wagner. If you look at his early work on like Grendel, you see a lot of experimentation with panel design and pacing and all that stuff. I mean, there was one story here, like 28 panels on a page. They were like little boxes. There were just little boxes.
I saw that one.
Yeah. And it was one of that, it was fascinating. I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that in Oswald, but I'm like, I'm gonna drive. My artist is gonna fucking kill me. They'll be like, they're like, you son of a bitch. You're already driving me nuts. Like I've asked my art, like Jay Gonzalez, she's my main artist. I've asked her to do some of the craziest, most outlandish shit, and it's just like, I don't know. She's gonna mail me a bullet one day. So we'll see. But she gets it done though. She's really good.
Nice.
Anyway, so Rosario, you're up, sir. Answer your own damn question.
No, I mean, everybody hit it, and I think it comes down to pacing, right? If you're coming out of a 10-page action sequence, you want to slow shit down, right? If you're building up to something, you want to ramp up anticipation. You want to take those beats and work your way up to it. two examples. I think I want to go back to the Death of Superman storyline, right, where it went from panel pages to semi-panel pages to full page splashes in the final issue, right? But then you look at the Moon Knight TV show. I don't know if you guys saw it, right? But every time he went and rolled in his eyes and he blinked and we didn't know what happened. That was that whole let the gutter do the talking for you. So I think it was great that they were able to translate that into live action. So yeah, I just want to hear what people think about it. Just chew the fat on it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Actually, before you answer your question, I want to pull this up because I know Aaron only has a limited amount of time with us, and I want to pull up his campaign. So, if you guys want, you can start talking about anything because it's going to take me a minute to pull this up.
All right, so can we go back then a second to that script concept? I was thinking of something while we were moving on, and I think it's also a great way to bring assistance into our lives, right? Yeah. We need somebody to format the script for you and stuff. So, hey, come see how I do things. Talk to me for a little bit, guys.
We create a job called the Rescriptor.
There you go, man. That's new credit. Be my Igor.
Nice. All right, Aaron. So tell me about your stuff here. I know it's Silverline Studios. I know you guys got 3 books, but talk to me about your book.
Yeah, my book's Obsolete. That's the one in the center, and
the important one.
It is the important one. I know I'm going to get hate mail from all the other guys to deal with the other books, but the Obsoletes. Yeah, it's actually a pretty fun story. I mean, it's about these group of like mercenaries. They're kind of like mercenaries. They go mine worlds and fight aliens, and they accidentally get thrusted 20 years into the future, and like through hypersleep, and then they wake up. They kind of come back and try to do their old job again, but they're like obsolete. Of course, being the grizzled veterans they are, they got to prove that they're still in the game. That's kind of so that's the main team on that cover. And I kind of made them all kind of bulky, based a lot off the Marines from Aliens. I'm a big Aliens fan, stuff like that. And then the new team, which you'll see later on, is much more sleek and stuff. And the other two, so the whole thing is interesting. So we're doing 3 complete issue 1s in one book. We've done 2 with the flip book, but this is the first one for us. We would try to do so. Each one is it's not an anthology where it's like a little snippet or short story. It's like 3 22-page issues in one book. I think it's kind of cool. Then you can go in and choose the cover you want, so you can kind of like go in and customize the cover of your book to be the cover. I mean, of course, it'd be the Obsoletes. I mean, let's not be stupid, but but I mean, you can't go in and do that and stuff. And so yeah, it's written by Wes Lochner and colored by Haley Martin. Jose Fuentes is doing the inking, and I'm actually working on issue 2 right now. It'll be 4 issues, and I think I'm not sure if we're gonna do the second issue in a combination like this with other books. I'm sure, but I don't know if it'll be in a 3-book format. So yeah, yeah, they got a lot, and I'm actually giving away not only commissions for me, but all the original art from the book, because my last graphic novel was 300 pages. So they asked me, do you want to give away your art? And I'm like I have so much artwork sitting around my house. No, take it, please. But for all means, yes, take it. So all the original pencils are up for grabs. I think there's the 1 page gone. And but yeah, so if you like original art, original pages, that's all. And it's all like done on paper. I'm now starting to get into working digitally, but I don't know. I still prefer to sit in front of my little desk and watch my TV and draw my comics. So yeah, those are all the pages. Yeah.
Nice. So what's the buy-in for the pages?
What do you mean the buy-in?
Like,
I'm not sure what it is. I have to look at it. I think they're add-ons. So once you click on them, then you can add on any page. And I'm not sure how much they run. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I know they're an add-on. But it is an after thing. So you just click on what you want, then you go and can add on pages or whatever. And I'm not sure if they're giving away pages from the other artists. I know some of the covers. Right. Dean Zachary is doing some covers and stuff, and they're giving away some original stuff. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. If and Silverline, I think we have like another or 2 more campaigns this year. So I know we're just having a lot of fun.
No, that's really
my
cool. That's
novel,
really
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
So
No, it looks awesome. Nice. All right.
yeah.
I'm gonna
No
stop
problem.
sharing this.
No problem.
Now,
Thanks for letting me give my pitch and talk about it.
no, that's incredible. But I mean, I'm looking forward to that. But you know what I'm really looking forward to? So I'm going to ask you about it.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So talk to me about your book, man. Talk to me about your project.
It's done. It's 300. Like I said, it's in the big format book.
Nice.
I didn't know how to do, and it's all in color and stuff. So I didn't know. I'm still like, I got the books back, and some of the pages are cut off at the edge because I didn't format it right. And I'm like, you don't see it. So you always order a book in, and then you're like, oh, whoops, okay, that needs to be fixed. Oh, that got chopped off. Crap. And so that's it. And I fixed everything, and I put in an order. I know the company I put in the order has been having some. The people I know who run it are having some personal issues, so it might be taking. But once that's in and everything's kosher, then I'm ordering like 6 or 7 for my store, and then I'm putting it up. So I'm hopefully by summer I'm getting out there. So yeah, it's done. It's weird that to have it done because I'm so used to working on it. Now I'm like working at other stuff, and now I was going to do another comic book, but I think I'm doing it to a different project right now just because I need a break from like writing my own. Like I don't want to write right now. I'm just going to sit and do some other stuff. So yeah.
So are you going to do a Kickstarter?
I do want to eventually do a Kickstarter. I thought about doing it for the issues, but I think I'm going to do it for the book. I might break it into 3 books. I'm still deciding that, but it seems like most people would want the book all at once. You can buy individual issues. The covers for the issues are not reprinted in the book. So if you want the covers for the issue, you would go to my store, which is my last name, Humphres. You see it on the screen. Illustration at bigcartel.com, and you can find the covers there. I won't reprint the covers just because there's a reason behind it. It's not just to be mean, but just the way that I want the book formatted. But I'm still deciding the Kickstarter. I think I might just do one solid book and do one Kickstarter to get the book, because I think it seems like most people would rather, if they can, buy the whole thing at once than buy it in 3s. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's usually how I want it.
All right, well, listen, that's all well and good. My only advice is that there's money to be made, right? And there's more money to be made in 2 campaigns than 1.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And the thing is there's even more money to be made in 3 campaigns as opposed to 2.
Ooh, that is
right.
Yeah.
So,
it's more money to be made in 17 campaigns.
17 campaigns.
You get 4 pages at a time.
I know 4 pages at a time. There you go. Here's 1 or 2 pages and stuff. Yeah. Well, that's good advice. I'll take that. Yeah. Yeah, but I do plan on doing 1.
I mean, look, you can always do a volume 1, volume 2, and then do an omni.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You just got to space them out. That's all.
Yeah.
So however you want to do it. All right. So we're back. Damion, go for it.
I get to ask a question. Whether we're working on like a passion project or something that we put little time into, we always kind of put parts of ourselves into our work. So what is the either piece of work, character, storyline, something that you've done that if someone knows you personally would be that's you? Like they would know that's you. You put yourself in there, and that's almost a signature, a thumbprint, if you will, of your work or your life.
Interesting. All right, Aaron, you're up.
Oh yeah, that my goblins is me. It's about 3 young goblins that they're young teenage goblins. They don't want to be gods. I just took the idea of everybody in comic book stories like they want to be a god. I'm like, yeah, but what if you had gods who didn't want to be? It's like, I don't want to do that stuff, so they leave and end up causing a rebellion. But the main character is me, highly reflected on stuff I've been through in my life, and most people who read it, who know me, know what some of the stuff I've been through. But like, yeah, that's me. So. Wording for all my other stories are not going to be, but that one was about me. This one was,
If you're going to write 300 pages, it just might as well be about you.
Might as well go with what you know keeps you invested in it, right?
Exactly. Evan, what do you got?
I think, everything I've written, I mean, it starts with, what's in here, what's in the heart. And, I think for me personally, probably silence people would most identify, the people that really know me well. because, as as an indie creator, sometimes it's frustrating, in terms of time. You can't spend the time that you really want to on the craft, and sometimes, life's obstacles get in the way. And the main character in Silence, Stanley Kane, is somebody who's hit rock bottom and just, has, can't drop any further. And I think we've all been there. We can all relate to someone that's in that position. But the thing is, how do we bounce back, and how do we, follow through on our dreams, no matter what the cost, and sort of use the negative and turn it into a positive, and use it to motivate us.
All right, cool. Kenny, what do you got?
Well, since the only thing anybody's ever seen of mine is Apex, I guess, that really just comes down, to me wanting to fly around Tokyo with giant swords, just cut shit in half, So
You're an owl. You're an owl.
Right, exactly. It's my spirit animal. So, yeah, I write a bunch of weird shit, and I always like, writing song lyrics, or like, I got other comic projects that I want to do eventually, So I think those will be, I put a little bit more of myself in, I think, some of my other stuff. But my first one here is just mad insanity, with just killing shit, pretty much, and stuff. So, yeah, I don't really know.
I think we found out a lot about you.
Huh?
We found out a lot about you right now.
There you go.
I will not sit next to you during a convention. In case either you want to kill something or your head spins around 360 degrees like an owl. I want to avoid that at all.
I was actually going to say, how many bodies are behind that wall?
Yeah.
That's what I'm up right
Now
now.
we know the reason.
Exactly, perfect tape. Yeah.
He starts putting on the owl helmet, right? The owl mask. Start backing up, back up.
Take a step back. Nice. DeAndre.
Yeah, this is actually a tough one for me too, because I'm getting ready to get started finally on my first book, Thundergar. So the things I've been editor on are coming out in quick succession, like bam, bam, bam. But I think what ties those together, and also ties what I'm working on, is, I enjoy a litany of all sorts of things. Like, I love, big, brawny, burly action as much as I love like really quiet, like character dramas and things like that. But what I've seen for myself as a writer and as an editor, as I've been doing more things with Odyssey, is that usually I'm advising for people to introduce real emotional stakes into the story. And sometimes people can make things breezy. Not everything has to be like this dour, downbeat sort of things. But I like writing about flawed characters, typically characters that are in the middle of their story, and either on the come up or the come down, wherever it may be, and where their journey is and what it's doing there. And I'm always trying to get other people to recognize the journey that they're putting their characters on, not interjecting my ideas into them, but rather saying, you've done the work in this story. You've built this dynamic. You've laid the groundwork. Make good on it. I think there was a portion of, I believe it's Nobody's Princess that we were working on, where it comes to a moment that just kind of breezes through. I'm like, no. Here, you're kind of in the middle of the story. Here's like the emotional crux of everything that's going on. Take a minute, realize the work that you've done and where this character should be in that sort of situation. So that is always my goal, is to, and when you read through these things and all the comics that are coming from Odyssey, there's going to be like one or two choice moments where these things sort of come up. And I hope that when people read them and see those things, those are the things that they're going to recognize. It's like, that must have came from Deandre, because I could tell like how the story kind of not stops or grinds to a halt or anything, but like, here's the emotional hook, and this is what we're going to build the rest of the story on from there. And sometimes it's hard to get people to see that sometimes if the tone isn't always there. Like, I went through a similar thing with Ubies 2 for the Kickstarter we just ended, because it's a very comedic, very kind of happy-go-lucky thing. But I was like, I need that character tension. I gotta have the drama in there. Let's find where it is. Let's find where the through line is in the story. Because with that, you can build a conflict, and you can get so much like meaty like story work and character work out of focusing on those moments sometimes. And those are always the things that I gravitate towards as both a reader and then if I'm working as an editor too, trying to make sure those are highlighted.
All right, cool. Mr. Ramos, what do you got?
Okay, so for me, the three main books that I worked on where I put myself into, it would be, it really depends on the project. So like Ninja Mouse was my 24-hour comic book where I basically did a comic book in 24 hours, and I made it a cartoon mouse who's silent just because it was quicker to do, so I didn't have to do lettering and stuff like that. But in the designs, I took my love of classic cartoon characters and stuff like that, and in the design itself, I gave them a birthmark which matches my own birthmark. It's this little dot over my eye here. But then in my other book, like Team Kaiju, in the second issue, I believe, I've actually put myself physically in the book. Me and my writer, Eric Rivera, are in the background working on the Battlesuit Kaiju. Team Kaiju is my love of robots and giant monsters mashed up together. And so one of the things that I did was I snuck myself and my writer in the background, like working on the battle suit itself type of thing, where I'm physically in the comic book that way. But the characters themselves, other than I would say their personalities, I might base them on people I know, so it makes it easier to tell that story. That this one character is more like a person I went to high school with, or this other character is like someone I worked with, where I can use their mannerisms and their voices and stuff like that just to bring more life to the characters. And then my last project, which is called At the 8 Spot, which is a web comic about me and Eric making comic books. We're all in there and they're true stories, if not exaggerated about it. So I think you can't help but put yourself in whatever projects you work on. And there was a time where when I was coloring and stuff like that, maybe I would pick a type of coloring style that I've seen somewhere else and use that. And it's not something that people really pick out unless you're a colorist who kind of knows that, oh, this is this kind of a style. So I think you're already developing your voice as you go on as a creator, and eventually you'll put yourself into the project. I know an artist that no matter what project they work on, they'll sneak a Star Wars reference in there. And he's a penciler, so he'll sneak where something in the background where you could just tell, oh, that's a Star Wars reference. It was a great one. He did a Gen X issue, and it's just the dome of R2-D2. But it's so close up, and the character has his arm on it, that you could see it if you're told what it is. But if you're not told what it is, you never would guess that kind of thing. So I think there's many different ways that you can put yourself into your projects. And I think sometimes it might be unconsciously you'll put something in there. Heck, McFarlane was known to always put Felix the Cat in his Spider-Man books, whether it was on the cover and that was his in-joke to a friend when he said, I'm going to draw Spider-Man, I'm going to stick Felix the Cat in there somewhere. So I think it's one of those things that you just can't help. And sometimes it's just for fun. That there is something where I've done it where I might have redrawn a panel that was familiar to a Spider-Man panel sometime when, and it was just something that was cool because the shot needed to be a sky shot. And it's like, it'd be cool. I always like this one shot. Let me just stick that in there and see if anyone ever catches it.
There was I know there was that comic mouse card that has been out for a few years. There was one panel where it was like a pile of bones. It was supposed to be like in a nest or something. And I think he drew an entire Millennium Falcon in there. And it took me a minute to finally catch it, which I'm like, wow, okay, that's intense. Yeah, he was, and it wasn't even shy. I'm like, oh, there's an entire Millennium Falcon sitting. Okay. Yeah.
Nice. That. All right, Mr. Rosario, what do you got?
I try to, my thumbprint, I try to always stick in a scene from Die Hard or a line from Die Hard. And the thing is, not that I hate, but Die Hard is not in my top 10 of flicks, right? Not at all. But I was at a friend's wedding with friends and family, and an ex-girlfriend show up at the wedding with a guy who looked like the long blonde guy from Die Hard, the guy with the long blonde hair from Die Hard, the one that was in Money Pit, right? So the jokes for the whole night was, oh my God, thank you for introducing us to the guy from Die Hard. you know, and just digging at her because who the fuck did she think she was showing up at a family wedding with somebody else? You know what I mean? Come on. So because of that, I had a moment in Storm Chasers #1 where we had 2 guards transporting the heavy for that issue, and I needed them to banter while the guy was breaking out, and I stuck in one of the conversations we had about beating the guy from Die Hard at the wedding. These 2 guards are like, hey, yeah, you know, this weekend I was at a wedding and I met the guy from Die Hard. We're like, which one? The one that said, oh, shoot the glass. And like, no, the other one, the long blonde one, right? So it was a nice fill of banter. But then from that point on, the next issue, I was like, oh man, I need something to say here. What do I say? Welcome to the party, pal. So I did that in the next issue, and I'm like, where else can I stick stuff from Die Hard? So I have in the issue of New York versus the World #2, we had a survivor from the boat that gets destroyed in the first issue wash up on the beach in Coney Island, and he's got no shoes. So he spends a few pages searching the beach of the dead bodies for shoes, and of course he says, "Oh, fucking the only pair of shoes that this guy has, and they're too small for my feet." So whenever I get a chance, I try to stick Die Hard references in my stuff. Luckily, I haven't exhausted the first movie yet. There's still a fucking 6 more to go.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my thing. That's my gimmick. That's my Felix the Cat.
All right, cool. For myself, I mean, I've always said that, any character that you write is going to end up being some sort of form or facet of you on some level, no matter what you do. We're all complex creatures, right? So it doesn't matter if a character is super, super evil or super, super good. As they say, the truth lies somewhere in the center for us, right? And then we try to, as creators, push it to whatever end. And like I'm sure a lot of people have said, Oswald is some aspect of me, but then again, who is Diane and who is Jeremy and who is Dauphin, and then who are all these other characters? And then when I'm working on other stuff, what part of those aspects are me? And I look at it like this: I'm like, all of them, they're my creation, so I own them. They're mine on some level, all of them. So that's how I look at it.
They're your babies.
Yep, they're my babies.
I can't even describe how much of Realmer is me. Like, it's how I feel about life and my family and other people and the world and other worlds. It's all there. It's
all
me
right.
From tip to tail. It's me.
Cool. So Aaron, before you go, because I know you have to leave soon, right? I want to give you a few tips, and if anybody else has any tips for Kickstarter for him, here's my thing. Like I said, I would split the book into 2 pieces, right? Offer them up as trade paperbacks, and then do a third book as a hardcover. Not a third book, but do the compiled book as a hardcover.
That's what I'd love to do. Yeah, look into that. Yeah, definitely. That's something. That's what I originally intended it to be.
Yeah. Check out Mixam.
Mixam?
Yeah, mixam.com. They're a printer.
Okay,
check them out. Mm-hmm.
They're pretty good. They're pretty reasonable too.
Are they? Okay, good. Yeah, because I'm still looking for printers.
Yeah. Hardcovers are expensive no matter what you're going to do. But you got to remember, it's going to be a premium thing. So you're going to charge a premium price for it.
Yeah. And if you get to the end of like the 3rd Kickstarter, that'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, it's on the list. This is stuff I'm having in the back of my head all planning.
Gotcha. All right, cool. I got a question from one of the guests on the show, from Mr. Evan Pozios. What do you look for when creating a comic? What elements are crucial? What are your storytelling goals?
Sorry, you broke up for me. Can you repeat that?
Oh, okay. Pay attention.
I actually have to go, guys. I thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Take
Thanks
care,
for letting
Aaron.
me talk with you guys and everything.
Take
care,
Aaron.
Good meeting you.
Take care.
He just didn't want to answer Evan's question. That's fucked up. I don't think he should come back. That's wrong. Bad business.
Anybody else want to bow out now?
God damn you, Evan. You had to answer the question. I'm all, fuck this.
He asked a little complicated. All right, so I'll ask it again. What do you strive for when creating a comic book? What elements are crucial? What are your storytelling goals? And what's funny is Evan was up, so you get to answer your own question first.
All right. Well, I think our jobs as creators are threefold. I mean, number one, you want to entertain the reader. Number two, you want to invoke some sort of emotion in them, something that hits them in the heart, that they can relate to. And then number three, make it visually appealing. It's a comic book. It's sequential art. Do your best to tell the story visually. In my opinion, you should be able to look at that book without any narrative text, without any dialogue, know exactly what's going on. I mean, a big influence for me was G.I. Joe number 21, Silent Interlude, where a story is told without any narrative text, any dialogue. I think just some sound effects, and gets it done in a very nice manner. So, I mean, for me, that's it. And then also, with every new project to improve and just to keep working with, the best artists on the planet, the best talent I can.
Cool. Kenny, what you got?
I think I pretty much agree with everything he said. I think for me, because I'm an artist first and a writer second, I always say this, making something that just looks awesome is like my most biggest priority, because I just there's nothing cooler than like picking up a comic book like X-Men #1 from like 92 or whatever, and look, every page in that book is just ridiculously cool, but then on like the invoking like an emotional or a fun response from the reader too is always good too. My favorite comic book ever is Generation X4, and it's just like a weird, quirky, like kind of the paneling. There's like these little dwarfs running around everywhere, and they're kind of like saying shit, and then there's a kind of a crazy thing that happens in the book, but the paneling's really cool, and like it's just kind of all over the place at the same time, but it's it's a lot of fun. And I guess it just got to be fun and look cool, I guess, for me. So
cool. Was that Chris? I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name correct. Bacalo?
Yeah, I think Batello. I think it's
Bacalo?
Yeah. That was their. I think issue 4. Yeah, it was like a Christmas issue. It was the first. It was the one right before they went to the Age of Apocalypse.
That's right. That was a weird time to launch that book. They should have launched it either earlier or afterward.
I think it worked out kind of cool, because like I think the like alternate version of it, they kind of like fleshed out the characters kind of in a way where they kind of wouldn't have been able to if they or weren't going to.
Okay. See, I hear where you're going with that. I felt the opposite, because that's where they did that transition with Mondo, right? And Pop Form, right? They really dropped the ball on that character. And you come back from the Age of Apocalypse, and he was the secret villain, and you're like, there wasn't enough time to flesh this character out.
They did go a little sideways with that guy. I thought he was, I thought he was really weird. But like, I mean, like the way they did Skin, Chamber, Husk, like all those characters in there were like pretty awesome. So I thought that kind of like added a different layer to them that you weren't going to get otherwise, But yeah, they kind of did Mondo a little sideways. Yeah. So
well, I have not other than the artist, I know nothing about that damn book.
So you got to read comic books, dude. You don't read comic books.
I read good ones.
Shit.
Yeah.
Fucking guy. I don't know. By your backing history in Kickstarter, I don't think you're reading good ones. But it's okay.
That's true. That's true. I did back your book.
No, you didn't, bitch.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I backed the campaign before this one, buddy. And I backed
the one before this one. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And yes. I backed your Indiegogo that you backed out of like a little bitch. But anyway.
Yeah. It's getting too hot in this.
Do it.
Shots fired. He's just trying to get me back after the comment I made last episode. But it's okay. I got you. I'm here.
What comment did you say?
It's okay. You forgot it. It doesn't matter.
I was there. I want to know.
I'm dealing with a situation right now. My fat is cutting into the belt in my pants, so I got to take the belt off right now. Big boys know what I'm talking about.
Oh man,
that's why you podcast in your underwear. That's why. I mean, I
got it figured out.
No. Just don't get up. Don't get up during the show. I got you.
No. But getting back on topic, Wilson.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you have?
Okay, so for me, it's comic books has been a large part of my life. Not only being a fan for so many years, like I'm one of the few people who cannot say what was my first comic book because they were always there. Um, as I look back over the years, I think it was a Neil Adams Batman was the first one that I bought in a bodega, but
Mhm.
not when it came out. It was like a box of books for
Right.
25 cents or whatever.
Yeah.
But my cousins always read comics and all that, so they were always around. I do remember my first comic book I collected, which was a Marvel team up. Marvel team up Moon Knight, Spider-Man and Moon Knight, and Marvel team up Spider-Man and Iron Man. Those both issues was on the rack, so I picked them up to find out why Spider-Man had a black costume. Because at that time I was buying G.I. Joe, Star Wars. I wasn't collecting. I bought, read, whatever happened to the comic books, whatever happened. But there were people in high school, junior high, that was like, oh, Spider-Man has a black costume. That blew my mind that a character could change their costume. Because up to then, maybe the artwork got updated, but the costumes were always pretty much the same. So something that was game changing was like made me go looking for those books. Whereas like I had to know this information. And back then they had the little yellow box that said, see this issue, see that issue.
Mhm.
So now I got homework to find out what was going on. And that's where I would say I started collecting, that this was interesting, that there's something interconnected. And that started my collecting of comics, and then eventually working in a comic book shop, and then eventually working in comics. I got so much out of it, but I always felt that I needed to put something else back in. What can I do? Can I create stories? And everything that I do is stuff that I've influenced. Now, granted, my career has actually been working freelancer just because self-publishing, as you all know, isn't easy. So I've spent most of my career basically making other people's dreams come true.
Mhm.
I would like to do that for myself again. And I've done and I've published some books. And I'm amazed of how, I won't say making comics it's easy, but it's easier now than it ever has been. And there's stories I would like to tell. And, I figured, well, if I like it, maybe other people would as well. So that's the kind of thing that in my head is that, maybe there's that kid out there who'll pick up my comic and be inspired to do it as well. So I think that's what I like to do is contribute in that way. I've done things where I was lucky enough to work in the offices of Marvel Comics, so I got to have interns and kind of teach them and teach them my ways, and so to speak. And some of them went and was working in the industry too. And I've done a little teaching how to letter and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where I want to contribute back into this, this art that is in the grand scheme of things, it is just comics, but again, culturally, it's just something that we're all connected with. And it's something that I'm happy to be a part of, and I'm hoping to continue to be a part of with, now telling my own stories.
All right, cool. DeAndre, what do you got?
Can you repeat the question again?
Yes.
I think my mind started going somewhere else for a second. I want to make sure I'm on track here.
Got you. What do you strive for when creating a comic? What elements are crucial? What are your storytelling goals?
My storytelling goals for me personally is, and kind of the thing is that I'm looking for, because I get a question a lot because, of course we take submissions and, what are you looking for as a publisher? I'm like, that's kind of hard to answer because we got a lot of things coming out. We have high adventure and fantasy and horror and like so many different flavors coming out. But when I was thinking about the methodology, I was thinking it really comes down to I have to feel like I am a richer person coming out of the experience of having read that comic than I was before going into it. And that's a hard thing to sort of encapsulate into like a singular sort of thing. This is very like ethereal. Like how can you do that really? But when I look at the things that I read, like as I was going through my books and putting some things away, I didn't realize like, oh shit, I got like all of Warren Ellis, Jeff Lemire, Moon Knight all the way through. Even like, I got some trades, but I also have the floppies. I hardly ever pick up floppies. I got every single issue. And I felt like that was one of those books like, man, I'm really getting some out of this. It's trippy. Like it's a very, detailed story, talking about mental health and all these other sort of things. And it's just like, that's the stuff I attach to, but at the same time, it's not what I go to every book for. So when it came down to Odyssey and really giving me a way to grade submissions and to sort of inform the ethos of what we're looking for and what the brand is going to do, actually do it by the same method they do diamonds. It's this weird. I call it the 4C method. So, you grade a diamond by the cut, the clarity, the color, and the carat. And that's how things go. For me, the cut is really like the breadth of the story. Is this a long 20 series graphic novel, or is this going to be a self-contained sort of single issue one shot? The clarity, of course, is the clarity of the vision, how it's communicated. What are you really, is the goal that the writer or the artist is striving for with the book being communicated well to me as an editor and to the reader? Is the color, is the tone right? Are you talking about racial issues and like making big jokes out of it and not taking it seriously to possibly make something offensive? Or are you touching on things that like can use a little bit more of a careful hand and things like that? If you're going for comedy, it's the comedy balance. If you're going for drama, it's the drama balance. And then the character weight of the story is really comes down to if we're not here making a comics just like waste people time and waste our time and anything like that. Like I said, we're all looking for a richer experience to be had for it. At the end of the day, does that story have enough weight to it to be a satisfactory read? Or is it going to be something that goes into a bin somewhere and you're never going to touch it again? Or you're just making it to sell action figures, or whatever the case may be. So those are the things I'm looking for. And for me to approve on a submission, or for me to pick up a book as just a fan and a reader, all those things have to be working in unison for me to feel like the book is a gem and something that I would either like have it in my collection or something that I would enjoy publishing. I think that other people would enjoy too.
All right. Fair enough. I like it. Mr. Damion, what do you got?
I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to sell action figures, personally.
I'm with you on that, baby.
The first comic book I ever read was Secret Wars, so like I can't. And I had all those action figures still.
But I understand. And I honestly,
very nice, Wilson.
You put very succinctly kind of what I was thinking. I won't steal it, but I will remember it very well and apply it to my own work if that's cool with you. But I will add 1C to it for me. Cool.
Nice.
What I mean by cool, it's got to have it. It's got to have that hook. It's got to have that thing that makes you want to come back. Which all those other things, that everyone said.
That's my favorite action.
Bring it back.
I took that and my Darth Vader everywhere with me.
Now I'm jealous.
Very nice.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take away anything from you, David. I apologize.
No. I'm looking for mine. Hold on.
It's just Wilson and I started a pissing contest, baby. Son of a bitch. You got me.
That's it.
Oh.
I have mine nearby. I took it to work to remind me why I'm.
Bust it out, baby. Bust it out,
There
Evan.
you go.
I can make house ads now.
And in January, I can make action figures of your own stuff, but we'll talk about that another time.
He knows.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I'll be more than happy to talk to you about that.
And as soon as I have a chance to talk, hold on a second. Sorry, talking much. Getting over a infection, so I apologize. Yeah.
You're right. You need mouth to mouth. Because JD will go over. He'll take care of you.
That's
baby.
a long drive from mouth to mouth.
He'll probably be dead by the time I get there.
Am I dying, or am I trying to find a way to avoid the question? No, seriously.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting down with a script and I'm trying to draw the page, I think about like the finished page. Like I try to imagine that finished page and what's that moment, what's that thing in that page that I want to translate from my brain to the page. And then that overall factor of like, okay, did I do that? Did I do that? And I don't think I have 3. I think that's really it. Like I want the story to mean something. I want the experience to mean something, but I also want that hook. I want that cool factor. I want that thing that's just not just in an arbitrary way, but in a way that connects back to those other things and feeds into itself. So I don't know if that answered anything, but that's kind of my thought. This is one of those things where it's like I love being on this show because I love hearing these questions that I have no answer to in the moment. Like I know it in my heart and in my head, but in my mouth, it just no. It says no.
Gotcha.
Did I answer something? Please let me know.
It's one of those types of questions where it's just like, it's very amorphous. But Mr. Rosario, what do you got?
Very.
I want to agree with most of the stuff that Evan said, but I want to combine his number 1 and his number 2 into my number 1. Right? For me, I feel that emotional hook is part of the entertainment package. Right? I want to take them on that roller coaster. I want to make them have those ups and those downs in that issue. Right? At the end, I want to make sure they have something that it's memorable. Yeah. But my number 3 is to make sure I pop myself, right? To make sure that I can go back and look at the book that I produced months later and be like, this is pretty good shit. I like this. I put a lot of good work into this. I'm entertained by this. Not come away from looking at the book like you look at your old childhood videos. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, right? I don't want to have that feeling when I'm looking at some of the books that I used to produce. And I do with some of my very first works. I'm like, oh, man, why did I say that? Why did I put that in there? Or, the seasoned me would have never have done things that way. And I want to make sure that I'm avoiding those things when I look back at the stuff I'm currently producing and be like, fuck yeah, this pops, man. This is good stuff. And be proud to not just sell it, but show it off to people. Look at what we did.
Yeah, I think both of you guys really hit it, and I think that's why I was getting at too. I think it always comes down to the emotional hook. Like, I recently got a submission. Actually, I had a number of submissions. It's good to see them coming through a lot. And typically the ones that I'm passing on is like, okay, you're doing interesting things. It's like, okay, this is very this and this is very that, but I'll just read something and I'm just like, but what are you saying? Like things are happening, but like nothing is getting translated to me other than these things are happening and this is a story. There's no hook. There's nothing to pull me in and make me say like, oh, hey, this is a cool moment, or this is a cool take, or this is a cool character. And it could be any number of those things, or even just the world itself could be cool, and I'll get into it there. But if it's just words on a page, even if they're out there, you got some cool concepts and things like that going on. If there's no hook to pull the readers in, then it's hard to call that a success by any stretch.
Yeah. For myself, emotional resonance is always important. You have to have some kind of, like you said, emotional hook. There has to be something to drive us all, because we're all people. We all want to feel, these strange emotions that we don't always just get on a day-to-day basis. And it's through this fantasy that we're living through these worlds. Living in different worlds, living in different minds. Going out there doing different things in our headspace, right? Because we can't actually, jump off a cliff and fly 1,000 miles and, rescue the princess and do it like that. So, we got to have all that fun in there.
And actually, to touch on one thing to bring it full circle and go back to Secret Wars.
Right.
I got into comics like after reading, because my cousin had Secret Wars and all that. I just had the action figures because I thought they were cool. And I had Dr. Doom all the time. I love that character. And I just knew he had to wear the mask because his face had to be messed up and everything like that. And I remember reading Secret Wars where he ended up getting like the power of the Beyonder, and like he takes his mask off and reveals his face, and he's just like perfectly handsome, like Victor Von Doom. That's when I got hooked into that book, into like that whole like title and everything. That was like the moment of resonance. I was just like, what? Like my mind was blown. I didn't fully even understand what was going on and what could happen. But yeah, it shows even in the book about selling, just making superheroes fight and selling toys. There's still something cool.
Selling fucking toys, baby. That's what that shit is about. Selling fucking toys. It's a higher margin.
One of my favorite guys, Guillermo del Toro, one of my favorite directors. He's friends with James Cameron. And when he was doing Hellboy, when he was about to embark on doing Hellboy, Guillermo, James Cameron had come to me. He says, well, what's the emotional hook? What's the emotional resonance in that story? And that's why, if you watch either of their movies, they always have that in their stories. You watch, Avatar, there's that emotional connection between those characters. And then with Hellboy, that's why he created the romance between Hellboy and I forgot the other lady, but she's in there.
Summer Blair.
Well, that's the actress.
Well, that's her
but
real
yeah,
name. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But that's but in the comic, they don't have that relationship because Mike Mignola was just like no to that one. It wasn't like that wasn't his thing. Like Guillermo did his thing, and Mike is doing his thing. But yeah, I always consider that interesting. It's always interesting if you look at Guillermo's work. From that point on, he always has that type of hook. Whereas if you look at some of his earlier work, it doesn't have that. So I always thought that was interesting. All right, there are a couple other parts to that. What are your storytelling goals? My storytelling goal is always to entertain myself because I'm writing the stories for me basically, and I share them with everybody else. So that's it. If I'm entertaining myself, that's typically what it is. I want to entertain myself, and I want to share that with everybody, and hopefully other people will be entertained by it. Up until this point, I've been somewhat fortunate in that. So.
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry. I feel slighted because somebody just
what happened?
Brushed their Tigers hat in front of me, and my Yankees hat is nowhere close right now, and I feel like again somebody's trying to have a pissing contest with me. But I'll keep myself in reserve right now. I'm sorry.
I forgot to tell you, Brian said that you should try the Chicago style pizza. He says it's really good.
Fuck Chicago pizza. Fuck it. Fuck that shit.
I'm from Chicago, and yeah, we feed it to tourists. We don't actually eat that shit.
Wow. I like Chicago style pizza. I'm not gonna say it's the best pizza, but I enjoy it. It's good.
Real Chicago style is tavern style. Our pizza is flat and cut in squares. If it's big and this much cheese on it, yeah, that's just.
It's a lasagna. A lasagna. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I can just start everybody off with one statement. I had really good Chicago style pizza in Nashville. Moving on.
There you go.
That's where we go for it, yeah.
It's pretty good.
So Alan says, "Hey all, hey Kenny, Apex is looking so good." This is true.
Hey,
Thank you.
And Daphne says, "Nothing is more satisfying to be told that my story made people feel things about my characters, and in Nita's case, she hates me right now." Okay. I don't know. Nita at least needs a hate less and love more. That's all I have to say. All right, Rosario, ask another question, then we're going to pull up Kenny's campaign.
Oh, shit. I wasn't ready for it. You said we were going to be doing something else. Pull up Kenny's campaign.
Shit. Oh, yeah, let me pull up Kenny's campaign and share yours.
Oh, yeah, baby.
All right. And talk for a minute while I pull this damn thing.
Let's talk for a minute. Okay. Anybody else want to have a pissing contest with me? I mean, we got a Detroit Tigers hat when I'm not prepped for the fucking Yankees hat. Within,
all right, enough of that noise.
Guess not. All right. Fuck you, Jose.
Fucking New York.
All right, Kenny. Apex, Cybernetic Owl,
Cybernetic Samurai Owl.
Samurai.
Gotta get it right. All three words.
It's the title's just getting longer and longer. I've been pitching this, so this has been the first year I've been able to do Comic-Con since I made the book.
Nice.
And I realized how I've done 4 shows over the last 2 months, and I just realized how much of a mouthful this shit is to say to every person walking the table. I'm like, fuck, next time I do a comic book with a way shorter name.
Apex landed.
It's wild. So this is my 4th comic book. It's
nice.
the first part of the second arc. That's why the name's a little different. Lunar Eclipse. We got some new characters in there. Basically, the whole story though is about a cybernetic Samuel created in a lab, breaks free, kicks the shit out of all the dudes that learns how to be a samurai, and now he's like he fights like kaiju beasts and shit in Japan. And there's a little backstory. There's like the organization that made him trying to get him back and stuff because they want to take over the world and shit. So it's mostly just super action. This owl dude flying through Tokyo, cutting shit up, and having a good time. So
cool.
Yeah, and we're already funded, so we're just we got 10 days left, I think.
Nice.
What was your goal?
We said 3,000.
Okay.
First stretch goal's coming up. We're gonna add some pages to the book, some more slicing and dicing.
Nice. Talk about the coin, man.
The coin. Actually, I got a whole stack of them in my hands here. New coin. It's the new character. She's been in the book already, but this is her bear mech. It's the lunar eclipse bear. It's a Geishoku Kuma, which is Japanese for lunar eclipse bear. And so this coin has her thing on it. I'm not going to say if she's good or bad yet. You'll have to read the book. But these coins are awesome. You could they're pretty heavy duty. I think JD has all of them, right? You have all of them?
I do too.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, these
checking my backer number to see if I still got them.
I think everybody right now is still in it. So for this one, so cool. I haven't checked, but I'm almost positive it might have fell off yesterday, but I usually do the first 75 people get a coin. I think the first campaign I did like the first 2 days, and ended up I was like, I'll just do 75 because I got to order 100 anyways. So, nice. And then I got a couple extras, in case they get lost in the mail or whatever. So. We did 2 covers this time, just because paper shortages and shit like that. It's been kind of a pain in the ass. I get my books printed locally here, so that's really nice. I don't have to go do shipping. Nice. I can go down and get my proofs. We can play around.
Where are you based out of?
Northern California. So I live in Shasta Lake. Closest bigger area to here is Redding, which is like 200,000 people for the whole area. And
you're way up there.
Way up there, yeah. I'm like, if I walk a half a block that way, I'm in the woods for 150 miles. So
wow,
yeah. We got bears and shit out here and all kinds of
nice
crazy stuff.
Got bears in here too.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
all right, cool. Yeah. So I mean,
jokes were funny. Who said their jokes?
Oh, look at that! What is that?
Nice.
So we did little statues this time. We did action figures with Damion last time.
Very cool.
This time we did statues. I went and got a 3D printer because I've been wanting an excuse to get one anyways. So one of my best friends actually doing the painted ones. Let me see if I can pull. I have the test model here. I keep breaking the I've been testing the fragility of these things. So I've been dropping these little blue ones off the deck.
Mix your formula with some impact resistant resins, dude.
Okay.
Do like a 70-30 mix.
So here's the painted one.
Very cool.
Very cool.
So my buddy Duke paints these. He does a lot of mini painting, so you can see a lot, like the wash and stuff on there. So that one's really cool. And then this is the so we're doing 2 versions. We got the painted ones, which are a little more expensive, and then we got these clear, transparent blue ones.
That's the one I want. That's what I really, really want.
And these are a little cheaper. These are so cool though, and they glow in a black light. It was totally unintentional, but they glow in a black light. So
nice.
Cool. Yeah, so we got those. I'm doing 10 of each because it just takes forever to make them. So they'll be super limited.
It does.
Yeah.
Right. And I only got 1 printer, and I'm still learning how to do it. So it's like every 3rd print's a complete fail.
Yeah. Welcome.
I learned my lesson.
To the club.
Man. I had to go to Hero Forge. I'm like, you guys got to make these for me because I can't.
Right.
You can do a 2080 clear tenacious, like Soraya Tech tenacious, with that blue, and it won't affect the color. And it'll be a lot more durable. And let's talk after the show because I can give you some pointers as far as how to get the stuff working.
Damion is definitely who you want to talk to on this, man.
Yeah, totally. Are you using water washable? I got the water washable stuff.
Eco friendly
Apex figure and all the ones I've done since have been water washable with a more tenacious mix.
Cool.
All right.
Cool. So yeah, that's the big item for the for this campaign. And then I got some of the original art. Actually, I don't think I have. Well, I think I have some of it in here. I got this. Here, I'll show you this too. Fuck it, while it's right here. I got this cool. This is signed by Cal Dodd.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull you up.
This is my Wolverine here, signed by Cal Dodd.
Nice.
That's my son's favorite line. He liked it when my son's 7. He go and I was showing him X-Men and Wolverine punched Cyclops in the stomach. He goes, "Anytime, pretty boy," and my son just fucking loves it, man. He just loves it. Let's see. I got the original. Let's see. This is the cover piece right here for that. For cover B for the book. It's kind of shiny here, but this is hand painted in gouache.
Nice.
So yeah, and that's up for sale on there. And I'm not selling it at a profit. I'm just selling it for what I paid for it. So somebody wants it, they can get it for what I paid for it. So.
How do you get one of those cool hats?
Yeah, so I got my local guys did these. They did a shirt for me too, but I wore it yesterday all day. So it's almost like a jersey kind of. It's got like the vinyl lettering on it and stuff.
Nice. Yeah, Rodman does those beanies, and they sell. They people really like them. They're good beanies too.
Nice. Yeah, I've been taking hats with me. I sold a couple hats yesterday at the show I did yesterday. So those have been doing pretty good. It's just a lot of stuff to have to carry around, but I mean, it's, you know.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we have been there.
I got my rule. My rule now is if it doesn't all fit in my one wagon to drag into the con, it's not coming.
That's probably a good rule.
I did the same thing too. I was like, I may go get a bigger one and buy a larger one, but I'm not
Right.
bringing 8 long boxes with me.
I'm making one trip.
Yeah.
When that con closes at 5, I want to be out of there at 10 after and on the road. I have to drive 3.5 hours minimum to any show. So, and those are the close ones. So,
I get it, dude. Try doing New York to Chicago on a drive. That's or New York to Texas on a drive for a con.
How long is that one?
Texas, that drive was 26 hours.
Yeah.
New York to Dallas, Fort Worth.
Jeez.
And that the New York to Chicago was 12. New York to MegaCon, I'm not doing that one this year, but previous years that was an 18-hour drive.
That's rough. Yeah, I'm driving to LA next week for Comic-Con Revolution. I think that's a 9-hour drive. From
Yeah,
here.
by yourself? Or
Yeah. I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going myself.
Yeah, trooping it, baby. That's how you do it.
Yeah, I did Idaho last month, and that was like a 9-hour drive, and it was the weirdest shit because I've never driven Idaho before, I've never been there, and I mean, you drive through, like you expect from where I live, you drive through the forest, you drive through the mountains, you drive past a couple lakes, and then it started getting weird. I'm driving through a desert. There's sand dunes. There's this long ass road where I don't think there's another human within 10 fucking miles of me. Then I drove through a canyon with like red rock everywhere. Then I'm like,
Oh,
back.
nice.
It was a trip, and so because I'm from California, most of my driving's been north and south, so it's kind of weird going east. And I'm like, my days just get shorter and shorter as the farther I go because I'm going away from the sun. So it was kind of a trip.
Nita says, "I don't hate you. I'm just pissed. Strongly dislike." I don't know why she feels about you that way, Rosario. But anyway.
See those from today. Listen. Oh man, Nate, I'm sorry. I'm about to put your business out there. I seen that woman choke her husband out from behind the curtain, man. You know what I mean? You don't fuck with her during a live stream. During a fucking live stream. Now, I didn't see nothing, but that shit happened.
All right.
What's this?
What's this? Yes. What is this?
So this is my latest release. This is Storm Chasers. We're putting issues number 1 through 8 out there, but we're looking to raise the funds to print up number 8. You guys had mentioned earlier the emotional resonance, and you brought up James Cameron, which is funny because I look at this and I look at James Cameron, and one of the ways he made Ripley appeal to the male viewer was doing the story of the mama bear and her cub, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the heart right here of this superhero book. It's a retired hero, goes back to the team that she once led to enlist their help in rescuing her kidnapped daughter. But when she runs back to the team, she finds they're all in shambles and needs to rebuild them as quickly as possible if she is ever going to have a chance at seeing her daughter again. So it's a superhero story wrapped up in a mama cub emotional resonance story.
Okay, cool. Do you want me to play the video?
You can if you want.
I mean, I didn't say I wanted to.
Don't play the video. Don't play the fucking video.
Hey folks, thanks for checking out the Storm Chaser campaign creations number 1 through 8 right here on Kickstarter. This superhero action adventure will be at a whopping 200 pages combined. It features the flagship team of the Unstoppable Comics universe and contains heroes with diverse backgrounds that hail from all across the globe. The current story arc focuses on a retired hero that used to lead the team and returns to the Storm Chasers looking for help in rescuing her kidnapped daughter. But she finds the team in shambles, a shell of what they once were, and must rebuild the Storm Chasers if there's any chance to save her baby girl. If knockdown, drag out, big ass fight scenes are your thing, with strong interpersonal connections and deep character storytelling, then you are in the right place. These issues are written by JD Rosario, illustrated by Russ Leach and Andres Barrero, colored by Michael Summers, with some covers provided by Carlos Granda. The Storm Chasers are important on Unstoppable Comics because this is where it all started. It took years of hard work and years of learning even harder lessons to get to this point, and it never would have happened without the support from so many of you. For those that have been with us throughout the years, picking up all of our other books, we can't thank you enough. We know you're here for one thing, and that is Storm Chasers number 8. But for those of you just hearing about us, there's still time to pick up the first 7 issues. And if you want more, we have that too. Spin-offs such as Shield of the Interceptor, Dragonstorm, Unstoppable Origins, or even the official character guide of Unstoppable Comics, where you can find data pages that contain power sets, origin stories, and a little bit extra that you won't find in the regular issues. All of this is still available in trades or in limited single issues. You can dive deep into the world of Unstoppable Comics or just take a dip in the water. In either case, you guys backing us in any form is greatly appreciated, and for that, we thank you.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So we have alternate covers. We got the main cover of the whole team, and then we got the Femme Fatale alternate cover there, illustrated by Silvana Bosa. She's an artist based out of Colombia.
Nice.
You got to have that Femme Fatale out there, right? We got to have those cheesecake books. There we get a little preview of the covers for the first for all 8 issues.
Cool.
Some breakdown on what's in it.
Issue 8?
Carlos Granda.
Okay. It's funny. It gives me a very Bill Willingham vibe. I don't know why. There's just something. There's something in this lady's face. It's very Bill Willingham-ish to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is not a bad thing, is it?
No, dude. Fables. You know what I mean? It was a hell of a series, bro. What did he do before Fables? I forgot.
I'm thinking Elementals.
Elementals. Okay. Here's a breakdown of all our stuff. Why Kickstarter? Do we have add-ons? Trading cards are a big thing. I've always added trading cards as stretch goals for my previous 17 campaigns. 16 campaigns. Again, another look at the team that put together the book. So myself, Russ, Mike, Carlos, my editor Shamika, my wife who's doing the lettering. We've got the graphic novels, which are, collecting a lot of the single issues that we do not have in print anymore. We got that character guide on the bottom. That's my baby there. I was a big fan of the old Marvel Universe handbooks, so that's my way of putting that together.
Nice.
We got a couple shirts there, rocking and rolling. They come all the way up to XXX for the big boys like me. There's a look at the catalog of books we've produced over the last 14 years. And then we are getting into the enamel pin game. I know Mr. Calderon has always dropped the enamel pin concept in my ears. Mm-hmm. So we got a great quote. Just have not pulled the trigger yet. I want to see how many people order. before I order the minimum and then have to order some extras. So this is just the concept art at the moment.
I like it.
And then we just announced our stretch goals, right? We're at 50%, and figured we can let people know what's coming down the pipe. So we have items for our physical backers, and we've got items in there also for our digital-only backers. And one of the great things, I'm doing a cross promotion with a couple of other guys doing Kickstarters right now. So we've got Marvin Wynn with The Edge, who's doing a Kickstarter campaign right now for his first trade. And we've got the Nebulizer. I know Damion, you know, who put that together. So the three of us have swapped out digital single issues with each other. And we've added it to the stretch goals as a way of not just cross-promoting our books with each other's backers, but also to stretch out those bucks that people are spending on us, you know? And if they're getting free content, or bonus content, and not having to throw in a couple extra shekels, then it's a win-win for everybody.
Nice. So what are your risks and challenges?
Risks and challenges, fucking the goddamn paper shortage right now. I mean, you know, I try to eliminate as many X factors as possible. Mm-hmm. The book is already produced. All we got to do is print it. It's lettered, it's colored. You know, it's been proofread countless times over, and we just need to pull the trigger on offset printing. So that's what's scaring me right now. You know, I am going to use somebody that is national, but can they get the paper that's needed without like charging me fucking more? Excuse me. You know, printing up 3,000 units is about $2,300. You know, that doesn't include shipping, but then that brings down the price point of the books. I'm sorry, I'm starting to talk shop, and when it comes to
you're talking about a good place for it, though.
What, 80 cents a book?
What's up?
80 cents a book?
Yeah, something like that when you incorporate the shipping. But you know, we're selling the books for $5 a pop, and for this campaign, you know, $5, even though it's the cover price, it's also free shipping because at offset, media mail is $280 something, $270 something. If you are using, I'm using stamps.com, right? If you go to the post office, you're paying almost $360 for media mail. So when you're using stamps.com, it brings it down, and I'm still making $1 and change a book, and you know, that's what you're going to be making if you go through any big distributor, anyways. So I'm okay with that. But if we do the offset, you know, when we're doing shows over the lifetime of the book, I'm making good margin. So that's just going to go back into the system and pay the rest of the team to produce more content.
All right, very nice. Okay, cool. You know what? I know. I was going to ask. I'm going to ask another question.
Okay.
Right, and this was again from Evan. What is the perfect comic or graphic novel to you? Right, and I think we're back to Deandre or Wilson. Did you answer the last question first?
What was the last question?
I don't know.
Question.
Rosario was talking a lot, so you know.
Thanks, guys.
I think I answered the last question.
Okay, so it'll be Deandre. Back to you.
Okay, well, let me look over my shelf here. Let me take a look at what I got.
No, don't include your own books. I've seen that before.
And the perfect one to me is this little one here, Batman Year One, by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. It's probably my favorite Batman story of all time, and it's the perfect read. I keep it here because I flip through it and I read it all the time. It's just the perfect length, the perfect breadth. It's good mythos, good. It's like good world building and like character origin 101, and we see why time and time again for the Batman movies they keep going back to it. because it's just that good. I got Watchmen there too. Some people might say Watchmen. I still like Watchmen a whole lot. I love it, but there's some issues I do have with it. But yeah, when it comes to that, and I'm just biased too. Batman's like my favorite character, so I'm an easy sell when it comes to that. But this was year one was like my first graphic novel experience ever, and it's still probably my favorite too.
All right. Cool.
Flawless as far as I'm concerned. When it comes to writing and art, does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Evan, what you got?
I think I mentioned previously, G.I. Joe number 21, Silent Interlude. But other than that, I'd probably have to say The Crow by James O'Barr. It's got that grit, that emotion, good action. But I mean, it's something that really, tears at you and stays with you, afterwards.
Okay, cool. Kenny, what's your favorite book?
Oh man, breaking it down to just one, it's not fair. I think the one I keep coming back to. I got the Age of Apocalypse omnibus, like the whole thing. That I just like that version of those characters. I just think they're just super good, all of them. If I had to pick a DC one, I'd say probably The Long Halloween, the Batman one. That's probably that. And then, for an indie book, probably Battle Chasers. So.
Cool. Wilson, what you got?
This is hard for me because I don't have a favorite. What I would say I have are books that I go back to many times over the years. And I would say the top ones would have to be the crossover books, X-Men and Teen Titans, Walt Simonson. Because of the artwork, because of that's probably the first book that I ever seen like that was a crossover.
Was that Archie Goodwin on that? Was Archie on that?
I think it was. I'm not positive, but I think it was. And then the other book that I go back to, and I don't know why, but I always do, is Frank Miller's Ronin. There's just something visual about that book. This is something he left Daredevil, but this is before Dark Knight Returns or somewhere in between, where the art is experimental, the story is experimental, the coloring, everything is experimental. Not to say it's a great book or a bad book, it's just there's something about it that I always keep going back to. I don't know if I've ever actually sat down and read the whole thing in one sitting. Like I'll read it to a certain point and kind of stop and then pick it up again. But there's just something there that is just the artwork that he's doing is organic and then weird, but it's like a proto Frank Miller before he's the second Frank Miller, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I had the book. I gotta agree. Him is like his most experimental, but like also his like most auteurist. I feel sad because I had that book. I found it out like a dollar bin in a comic shop somewhere, and one of my friends was absolutely hell bent on buying it and paid me some stupid amount of money to get it from me before I even got the chance to read it. I just remember flipping through the art, like, yeah, this stuff is popular. It's really cool.
And then I go back to like graphic novels of stories that were collected when I first started reading. So anything of Spider-Man, my first year or my first 2 years of reading Spider-Man. So that's the Black Costa saga of the Black Costume. Actually, I recently got it. I had Tom DeFalco sign it because I was doing a convention with him and he was literally sitting next to me and I was like, here, can you sign this? Because it was like a book that really, as I mentioned before, got me into comics. Yes, it was what was going on in Secret Wars, but Spider-Man became my favorite superhero, and that run of books. And I personally think your first 10 years when you discovered comics is the best 10 years, because everything that came out during that time were like the best. And then you start growing and you start realizing what storytelling is and all that, and then you start nitpicking. But there's that fondness of those first few years. There's like they could do nothing wrong, because I'm unwilling to see all the mistakes in those books, no matter what. Even rereading Secret Wars. Yes, it is to sell toys, but you know what? I bought those dang toys, so
damn right
it worked.
Yeah,
So,
great toys.
So for me, again, that's the kind of thing where I always go back to. And plus, I'm a big firm believer that toys should come with comics, no matter what. He-Man did it right with the mini books, and with Secret Wars, at least there was a little comic book on the back of the packages. So for me, it's like there's that connection there too. Comics and toys type of thing. So those are like the three main books I would say I keep going back to, and then there are like little stories. God Love Man Kills. That was the X-Men graphic novel that everyone wanted and they were getting, and
Not me.
again, there's stories. Huh? No.
Well, I'll say on my turn. But...
Okay. But yeah, so there's always those few that got to go back and get. Craven's Last Hunt is probably one of the ones that it's like not only visual, just a story in there, seeing something that crossed over three main titles, and Mike Zeck's artwork is phenomenal at that time, but the inking on that, once I saw the pencils, I did not know how much work the inker was doing on that particular book, and I think he's the one that did it. But again, it's each story hits me different. One will hit me where it's like the artistic storytelling in like Ronin, but then again, just the inking work that was done in the Spider-Man book. And then when you start thinking about it, it's like, oh yeah, Bernie Wrightson doing Batman the Cult. That was an amazing series in itself. And again, you start sitting there and then you start listing all the books because there is something you take out of each one of them or you learn something from them. So it's hard to pick one. It is hard to pick one.
Yep. This is true. Damian, what do you got?
I'm kind of the same way. It's hard to pick any one particular thing. I did do something recently. I kind of switched to more digital books, and I found two graphic novels on Comixology, one of Kirby and one of Ditko. And I'm a Kirby freak. I love Kirby, but Ditko always sort of eluded me a little. Spider-Man, and I get it, and all, but this graphic novel goes back before Spider-Man and the stuff he was doing before that, and his grasp of storytelling, you can see how that affected the industry. Like that affected the people that were working with him at the time. Like it just changed the way. And I even went back to see like when they were published and who was working at the time, just to kind of see who he might have influenced or might have influenced him. And it was a really good graphic novel to get a little personal education as an artist in those artists. But the one I always go back to is Dropsy Avenue. Every year I read it. It never disappoints. I think it's one of the best Eisner books. People will argue this point. I don't care. I think it's one of the best Eisner books. And it's just the story of a neighborhood, like, and the people that lived there, over time, how it became what it was and how it became how it started from an idea to being what it became by the end of the book. And it's just a really good example of Eisner's work, but just comic storytelling. Just what you can do with a comic and a simple idea and what it can be.
All right. Cool. Mr. Rosario, what do you got? It's your turn.
Everybody's breaking the rules, Evan. I'm sorry. I got to drop two out there. I got to. All right. At least it's only two. And there's a reason. From a production standpoint, Robert Kirkman's first Invincible hardcover, I love that book. I always look at graphic novels as a DVD, right? You already saw the movie. Why do you need to see it again? What extras can you pack into it? And that first hardcover of Invincible is packed with so many extras. He has a chibi gallery. He's got the script. He has not just the cover gallery. He has character design layouts, he has the very first 5-page pitch that he sent into Image to sell the story. A ton of extras, and I always look at it as, oh my God, what else can I put into the trades? You know, what bonuses can I grab people with? So that for me, from a production standpoint, is money in the bank. From an emotional standpoint, X-Men Asgardian Wars, Wilson. That is my X-Men book because it's a collection of 4 issues, 2 by the great Arthur Adams, 2 by the great Paul Smith. And for me, having 2 totally distinct art styles, the super detailed work of Arthur Adams and the simple, beautiful line work of Paul Smith, right? And be like, oh my God, how can 2 totally different styles just impact me, right? And at different points of my life, I've gone with, man, the Arthur Adams stuff is the best part of the story, and then it's been, the Paul Smith stuff is the better part of the story, you know. So and I keep going back to that as that is my trade, my emotional trade. Not Dark Phoenix, not God Love Man Kills, not the Craven Hunt, which I think is overrated. It's yeah, I think Craven is a shitty character. I'm sorry. He's dude. The only thing he's good for is dying.
It's a great story.
Okay, but that's all he's got. That's all he's fucking got.
He's a great story. It doesn't matter about the, come on.
Okay, but in the lifespan of that character, for me, it doesn't draw me. Yes, Mike Zeck worked great, beautiful. I love Mike Zeck, right? But the Craven's Lance Hunt, Guess what? It's spoiled for you in the title, Last Hunt. It's like the Titanic. You know the fucking boat is going to sink at the end of the movie.
Whoa.
It's the journey, JD. It's about the journey. Okay?
Fuck the journey. Fuck the journey. The motherfucker dies. He dies. There's no fucking journey. Okay? But yeah, the X-Men Guardian Wars is my emotional trade.
Okay. I can't say anything bad about it, Asgard, because I have that. I really enjoy it. I love it. I wish they would recolor it, but I mean like in a modern, because I got a reprint of it, and the reprints with the old colors and the glossy paper looks like crap. I mean, I just say if they would recolor it, it looks nice, because they did a Walter Simonson store where they recolored it. Right. Wilson, were you part of that? Because I know you were doing some recoloring stuff back in the day.
No, I recolored Cyclops and a bunch of the Star comics. But here's what I'll tell you as a colorist. We would love to really go in and color that, yet make it look like how it was colored way back when. Mm-hmm. But as a colorist, we are limited by the palette that they give us. We have to use the palette from that age. But they do not account for the fact that the paper is on newsprint.
Right.
So we should theoretically add a little bit of a yellow tint to it all to make it look like it's on the newsprint paper. But production didn't want that happening. So we're limited, as a colorist, we are limited by a couple of things that go on where it's like, you're not accounting for the paper because it's a slicker paper. You're not accounting for how much the paper absorbs the color. So there's plenty of things that is wrong with it. And then you have the other side where it's like, oh, color it like you would color it now on it. It's like, but no, the artwork isn't drawn for that type of coloring. So, and they don't want to pay for coloring. We only, when you get paid for a page for a new book, you get a high page rate. For coloring a reprint, because they just don't have the film for it or whatever, they're paying a couple of bucks. So that's the downside to it, is that they're going to they made their true money off the individual comic. They don't want to pay into making it look better. Or that's what I ran into when I did coloring for large companies like that.
Gotcha. All right. Well, to answer the question for myself, it's Frank Miller's Daredevil. and I'm gonna break the rules like everybody else. So Walter Simon's is Thor, Swamp Thing, Alan Moore, Miracle
Okay.
Man, Alan Moore, and Neil Gaiman's Sandman. So, and just about anything from Bill Willingham. So.
God damn, man. You really broke the fucking rule.
I read a lot of
Such a
shit.
cheater.
I read a lot of stuff.
I want to discuss my top 10 graphic novels.
Yeah, man. Shit, I'm never gonna play
Hey.
Risk with you.
So you know what? Here we go. Warren Ellis's Planetary
Oh my god.
and his Authority. There you go.
Where's Daphne? Give me a call, Daphne. Daphne, your husband's cheating.
And just about
Always.
anything by Michael Gold. As
Yeah.
as
If
an
he goes-
artist, but as a colorist, seeing what he can do with the limited palette and the limitations of the technology, he made a lot of G.I. Joe books look like they were cell animation.
Mhm.
And again, it's one of those things where you look at it with a colorist's eye, what he was able to get away with those limitations from way back when. Amazing.
All right, gentlemen, we hit the 2-hour mark. So we're here. All right, so we made it. So thank you everybody for being here. All your books are great. So please, everybody, go check out Apex. Go check out Rosario. I keep forgetting your damn books. The Unstoppable Comics. Go.
Some of them. The Storm Chasers, ladies
Storm
and gentlemen.
Chasers,
The
yes.
Storm Chasers.
Yes, the Storm Chasers.
Superhero stuff without getting bogged down with 60 plus years of continuity. Okay.
Yes. All right.
Entertaining, quick, in and out, like my love life.
There you go. Nice.
All those links are in the show notes, right? Because I
Yes,
wanted
all those-
to
all
check a
those-
lot of these out.
Yeah, go check
Thank
them
you,
out. They're
Wilson.
awesome books. Apex, I always pick up. Storm Cases, I'm sorry, Rosario. The reason I haven't gotten it is because I'm trade waiting. True, I got the first screen.
You slick son of a bitch. You
I got the first screen. I want the second
I
one.
know. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And the trader's gonna get the bonus material. You
There
fucking
you go.
bastard. But no. Good shit. Good shit.
All right. So thank you everybody for being here. And please, Deandre, let everybody know where they can find you and your work, sir.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at comics_odyssey, on Instagram at d.m.mcneal, and then Facebook at Odyssey Comics Official. And if you are so inclined and live in the northern Michigan area, I will be at Cherry Capital Comic Con here in just a couple of weeks. We'll be rolling out Nobody's Princess. I finally got comics, y'all. Real stuff, real shit. Comics have been great. Shout out to Ready Comics in Tempe, Arizona, by the way. They got these to me a week after I sent my copies to them. So we have that available for people. Preview of The Last Herald, our next book coming out from Odyssey. Before the Kickstarter even launches from that, you'll be able to grab that in person. We'll have a couple other books from some other losers that I know or something like that people might be able to check out. But we're looking forward to it, man. It's been a while since my last con, and look forward to having a good one coming up.
All right, nice. Evan, where can they find you in your work, sir?
You can find me all over social media. But likewise, I will be doing my first show in over 2 years next weekend in Orlando, MegaCon. I'll be a sponsored guest of Second Sight Publishing, where I'll have copies of Silence #1 on hand. You can find Time Grunts and Harvest of Horrors on Amazon. And if you don't go to the show, you can find Silence at secondsightpublishing.com, as well as eBay, and a few shops may still have copies.
All right,
Nice.
cool. Kenny, where can they find you in your work, sir?
I'm at Kenny Aiken Art on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and my Kickstarter. The link's somewhere down. I think it's down the bottom of the video, probably, right? So you can check that out there. And I will be in Ontario, California next weekend, Saturday and Sunday for Comic-Con Revolution. So.
I'm gonna just miss you. Yeah, it's right down the street from me.
Oh, really?
Practically, yeah. But my sister has to go get married, so I gotta leave town. Real bummer.
Relatives. Who needs them?
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
Wilson, where can they find you in your work, sir?
You can find me anywhere on social media under Ramos Comics. I'm on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, under all that. For my comic books, you could go to 8spotentertainment.com. And my comic book appearance next is Saturday, June 4th, Melbourne Comic Fest. It's a brand new con. It's the first time they're doing it. And I'm going to have to send you a link because I don't know exactly where it's happening. But it's going to be one of those small cons in a church. So that'll be my first con of the year. And
Nice.
My first con of this year. The last con I did was in December. So yeah, so this will be my first con of the new year. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, people shouldn't sleep on any church basement con, synagogue con. That's where you practice your pitch. You know what I mean? You get to interact with people, man. That's those are huge and very underrated.
It's kind of neat to be the big publisher in a small con. So it's because
that too.
A bunch of my buddies are putting it together. So it's like, okay, of course I'll be there with you guys.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
That's the con I'm going to run. I'm just going to call it Church Basement Con, but in a place that holds 50,000 people.
But you're going to do it in the synagogue, right?
Yes.
Damion, where can we find your work, sir?
All right, I'm gonna post this. So if you're watching on your phone, you're kind of screwed. But if you're watching on anything else,
I'm watching on my phone.
That'll take you to take you to areyoomniversal.com. It's still a work in progress, but beyond that, you can find me on Facebook, the Instagram. I've got I'm finally on the gram, Day One Comics and O Toys there. Beyond that, I'm here and on random podcasts from time to time, video shows. I'll just say shows, but random shows. And I'm not going to be anywhere until December because I've decided that I'm taking a break from toys and shows to make comics.
Yeah, man.
I'm kicking it into high gear. And by this time next year, I'm going to have 4 books done.
Nice.
Excellent.
Very good. Very good.
Got everything planned out. So
Good. Nice. I'll be checking in on it. Rosario.
So yeah, all roads lead back to unstoppablecomics.com. You could get all the links to the Facebook, to the Instagram, to the Twitter, all at unstoppablecomics.com. And of course, we got our latest book right now, The Storm Chasers, on Kickstarter.
Nice. Okay, well, you can find me here every Sunday or whenever I decide not to do this. You can find me on Facebook, all under JD Calderon, Twitter, DeviantArt, and all those other places. Hanging out with these fine gentlemen and sometimes a lady. Once in a while, we'll have a lady. We got to get another.
That's true. Every time I'm on here, it's a sausage party. So
yeah.
I know. It's like I bring in Daphne a little bit more often, but it's like when we get together, we start talking about things and things just go awry. It's just
I want her on the show so I can trigger her to yell at you because that'll make me feel good.
Okay. Then we should invite your wife to do the same.
Never.
A special.
We'll do a special show. We'll bring all the wives on.
Title it "The Shit They Put Up With." That's
exactly.
Wives Edition. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It says who carries the boxes and that sort of thing. But anyway, gentlemen, we're done. And thank you all for being here. You guys are awesome. Go check out all the campaigns. Go check out Rosario's campaign. Go check out Kenny. Both books are awesome. And go check out Brian. He's not here. Couldn't make it. He's not feeling well.
Yes, Nebula 2 still available. Go get it. It's on Kickstarter right now. Get
go check it out. Yep. And go check out Aaron's book as well. Even though they have them crammed in there with all of that other stuff, but go check it out anyway. So, thank you everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night, guys.
Take care.
Peace.
Good night.